I'm glad you could join us this evening for what we hope you'll find a very informative and important weather special. With the severe storm season approaching, we want you to be up to date on the precautions you and your family need to take in case of weather emergencies. And we're proud that tonight's program, Tornado Alley, was recently awarded the Oklahoma Association of Broadcasters Outstanding Achievement Award for public service programming. It'll give you the information you need to know when severe weather strikes. 1985 was a relatively calm year when it came to severe storms and tornadoes. However, as you'll see in the next half an hour, quiet storm seasons are more the exception around here than the rule.
The Oklahoma sky, arena for the most violent weather on the planet, battleground for thundering storm systems. As severe storm season approaches, learn the steps you need to take to protect yourself and your family. Be aware of the best warning system available. This is Tornado Alley, a News Center 2 weather special.
It seems like spring is coming a little early this year. The severe weather season has really started already in Oklahoma. One of the strongest tornadoes that we saw last year in our part of Oklahoma was the one that traveled through Manford and Prue on the morning of April 29th. But we could see the situation developing for a day or two in advance. It looked like the potential for very severe storms and tornadoes on that morning of April 29th. It was really a classic severe weather situation with a very strong low pressure coming out and a lot of moisture and humidity coming up into eastern Oklahoma. That morning, Mike Morgan and I were here in the Weather Center looking at the first storms as they developed, and earlier on to the south of Tulsa, they began to become severe fairly early in the morning. And then it was just a little bit after 10 o'clock in the morning that we were looking at a very strong thunderstorm out to the southwest of Tulsa, about 40 or 50 miles out in southwestern Creek County. And we noticed that not only was the storm building very rapidly, but it began to show some signs of cyclonic development. We began to see some indication of that hook echo that we sometimes see before a tornado develops. The indication of the tornado, even on storm surge radar without the Doppler, was so strong, an indication of perhaps a large tornado, that we felt we wanted to contact the local authorities. So we called the police chief there in Manford and told him that it looked as though a large tornado would reach Manford in 7 to 9 minutes.
We got a call from News Center 2 at the weather room that we were definitely, and they specified definitely, we were going to be hit by a tornado in 8 minutes. We didn't allow hardly any of the people to leave the churches to go home. We had them stay there, getting the heaviest places in the church they could find and the safest places. About 4 minutes later, we get another call. Say, y'all are going to be hit in 4 minutes.
Well, I was staying home, and I was standing in the kitchen window looking out to the south, and I seen this big cloud come up over the hill, and I thought it was a rain cloud, but then I seen stuff traveling the face of it, and it was about a quarter of a mile wide to the south. And then I seen trees and debris traveling the face of it and going around, and then it disappeared and then come around the other side. And that's when I decided that it was time for me to get underground or as low as I could.
I saw it coming, and just I put my car in gear to leave, and it wouldn't go anywhere. And I was deposited probably about 4 blocks east of where I was sitting. My wife remembers, the little bit that she does remember, the horrible sound, the wood cracking, the roof going, the cellar door being raised up about 2 inches, and then the brick outer wall fell on the door and pinned them in there.
It sounded like a freight train.
Well, it was like more or less like a dream to me. It was all a nightmare, actually. The roof went off of us, and it was real dark in there, and I thought I was in heaven. when the lights come on.
It was a spooky quiet. It was just a real weird feeling.
It was the most difficult thing. Of course, when I arrived at the campus, there was lots of ambulances and what have you across the street because of the churches being involved, and I was really frightened for the people over there, and I went directly across the street to talk with the police to see how badly we were hurt, and the police chief said, well, we've lost one person and have some others injured, but we're not bad hurt. So then I came back to kind of look over the school system, and I was just awed, really. I didn't know what to do or what to say. I really wanted to just cry. Well, technically, the elementary school was the hardest hit because there was nothing standing about it from one end to the other. The high school complexes behind me was pretty much completely destroyed, but there were a few walls still standing and a few things like that.
Without the warning that we got from Channel 2, we would have had a disaster, a bad one, but it would have been a major disaster. The churches, the way they were destroyed and tore up, and the debris, we could have 10 to 15 killed instead of just one.
Had it not been for that warning, then we obviously would have had much more deaths than we had, because there were 900 people in these three churches back here.
As my older daughter summed it up pretty good, she said, this is what happens to everybody else. It never happens to us. It's not supposed to happen to us, but it does.
Well, as far as forecasting severe weather, usually in classic spring severe weather situations, we can see trends 2-3 days down the road, and we start to follow that and see how it develops in its patterns and the basic weather patterns over the period of 2 to 3 days. Then as it gets closer and closer, we can get a better handle about what time thunderstorms will start.
With Storm Search radar, we can look right inside the thunderstorms and see just exactly how tall they are, how much hail, and how heavy the rain is inside of them.
Well, it's vital to have a radar like Storm Search in this part of the country for the severe storms that we have in the spring. We have to track them, and it also helps in forecasting on down the line by a couple of hours. In northeastern Oklahoma, we only have two, one at the National Weather Service office here in Tulsa, and the one, of course, the one right here at Channel 2.
Now, with the addition of the Doppler radar, we'll be able to see more of the tornadoes earlier, and we'll be able to get the warning out faster than ever before.
Well, you know, northeast Oklahoma has one of the very highest tornado frequencies in the world. Parts of north central Oklahoma have the highest tornado frequency in the world, and we feel very, very fortunate to have Doppler radar. It adds as much as 15 minutes lead time in detecting tornadoes. It's a state-of-the-art tool. There's only one of 3 areas in the nation that have Doppler radar, and Channel 2 here is one of them. We feel very fortunate to have it here in Tulsa.
Now, Oklahoma has the most severe storms of any place on Earth. There's no other place on the planet that has the combination of factors to produce such severe thunderstorms as we have right here in Oklahoma. And that's one reason that we need Doppler radar. Well, the Doppler radar shows us the winds inside of the storms, so we can actually see what the wind is doing. With Storm Search, we can see how tall the storms are, how big the hail is, how intense the rain is, how strong of a thunderstorm it is. But it wasn't until we added the Doppler radar that we could actually see the winds inside of the storm. And that allows us to pick up the tornado circulation oftentimes 10 or 15 minutes earlier. Red shows motion coming toward the radar, and green is for winds that are blowing away. So when you get a tornado, you'll see very strong winds in one direction right next to very strong winds in the opposite direction. And that's called a tornado signature. And that's something that you can only see on a Doppler radar. There's about 2% of the tornadoes that do about 95% of the damage. And it's those really big ones that are the most important, to get the warning out as early as possible. And that's really the bottom line, is letting people know in advance, as soon as possible, when one of these giant storms is threatened. The world's very first Doppler radar that had practical use was developed about 100 miles away from here at the University of Oklahoma. And now with the cutbacks in the government budget, it may be many years before the National Weather Service is able to install Dopplers all around the country, as they've been planning to for years. But we don't want to wait. But we don't have to wait.
Even though we have all of this state-of-the-art equipment to track the storms, it just doesn't do much good when people don't pay attention to the watches and warnings. Here are some tips you should keep in mind. Keep an eye on the sky and have a disaster plan in case storm strikes your area. Don't ignore storm warnings, and if a tornado does touch down and you can't get through to your family or friends, don't go into a disaster area.
Everyone's rushing to Wendy's. They're getting their money and waiting for the doors to open. Because Wendy's fresh quarter-pound singles are now just 99 cents. They're laughing. They're dancing in the streets. They're swinging on over to pick up fresh Wendy's singles for just 99 cents. So don't hang around. Drag a friend along. He'll love those fresh Wendy's singles for just 99 cents. But you better shake a leg. You're running out of time. Choose fresh. Choose Wendy's for just 99 cents.
It's red, white, and new. That's what's going on. Red high top sneakers, good time on the avenue. It's Saturday night, it's out inside, making all the right moves. There's a feeling in this country, the real thing's coming through. Coca-Cola Classic, red, white, and new.
That's a pretty kinky noodle. Italians call it rotini. Presenting Weight Watchers Salisbury Steak Romana. Tender beef with tomatoes, mozzarella, peppers, and deliciously kinky noodles. Weight Watchers. This is living. What makes chocolate cake German chocolate cake? The frosting, creamy and filled with tender coconut and crunchy walnuts. What makes this German chocolate cake sensational? It's Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers. This is living.
It's March Mania at Best Shot Waterbeds, and the bosses have gone crazy. You've heard of 8.8 or 7.7% financing. Well, Best Shot Waterbeds has 0.0% financing for 1 year. And we're reducing prices on everything. Like the soft-sided waterbed made exclusively for Best Shot, designed to adapt to your existing headboard and furniture, plus use your regular bedding. Yours complete for only $2.99. So take advantage of Best Shot Waterbeds' March Mania sale.
We get those days around here where you can walk outside and you can just feel that there's going to be severe weather. June 8, 1974, at least 3 funnels hit several parts of Tulsa, including Brookside, and there was more than $20 million in damage. Then December 5th, 1975, a medium-sized to small tornado cut a relatively quick path through an area of East Tulsa. Although there were no deaths, there was quite a few injuries and more than 100 homes damaged. And Easter Sunday, 1981, at least 3 tornadoes hit the South Tulsa area. A large tornado passed south of Bixby, killing 4 people, while a smaller one raked through South Tulsa, damaging several hundred homes and also a lot of business and industries. Then Christmas Eve, 1982, a small tornado briefly touched down in South Tulsa County, injuring 5. Springtime 1984 brought more killer tornadoes than any recent year to northeastern Oklahoma, especially on the days of April 26th and April 29th. On the night of April 26th, Morris was hit very badly, and also Turleton, with several fatalities and heavy damage. And then just less than 3 days later, on the morning of April 29th, 1 man was killed in Manford. The same tornado went on to devastate Prue. And there were several other tornadoes on that same day, although the damage was not as severe as at Manford and Prue. In a typical year across the United States, there may be 100,000 thunderstorms. Maybe 10,000 of those storms could produce some severe weather. But perhaps at most 1,000 will actually produce a tornado. But the thing that makes Oklahoma Tornado Alley is our unique geography. We're just right in the middle of all the conflicting weather systems in the springtime. We're close enough to the Gulf of Mexico to get plenty of warm and humid air, but we're still far enough north to be close to the jet stream and also close to the Canadian fronts that drop down and clash with that warm, humid air. It's just like a battle zone that rages over us in the springtime. From experience of studying the weather patterns around northeastern Oklahoma, we can recognize the situations that are most favorable to tornado development. It's usually in the springtime when there's a rather strong low-pressure system coming through the area. The storm is pulling up warm, humid air from the Gulf of Mexico ahead of it, but it's also pulling cooler and drier air in behind it. And there's usually a pretty strong cold front that separates those clashing air masses. As the front of cooler and drier air advances into the warm, humid air, it causes the warm, muggy air to begin to rise. And if it's unstable enough, it can begin to rise very rapidly and build up thunderstorms. In order to get a tornado, first of all, it has to be a very large and powerful, severe thunderstorm. The thunderstorm continues to build up over a period of time. It gets more and more powerful. After a while, it may start to produce large hail, and that's a good indicator that severe weather, or possibly even a tornado, may be coming. If you see large hail, especially tennis ball size or larger, that means it's a good time to think about taking shelter, because there could be a tornado developing or very severe winds. Now, as this severe thunderstorm builds up, the air is rushing so fast up inside the storm that the pressure near the ground underneath it drops. You actually get a low pressure developing underneath. That causes the air to begin to spiral in towards the center of the low faster and faster. The speed of the rotation continues to increase as long as the thunderstorm continues to build and become more powerful. Then, after perhaps 10 or 15 minutes, a funnel will begin to form, and once it starts to take shape, it can come down to the ground very quickly. Sometimes out of clear skies, within an hour or two, we can have severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. But it's nice to have Storm Surge and Doppler to be able to see exactly where it's happening and how it's moving.
Once we've pinpointed the severe storm through the use of Storm Surge and Doppler radar, then we can let you know when the storm could be threatening your area. If you hear a watch or warning, pay close attention. Quick reaction could save your life. A tornado watch is issued when our weather is favorable for severe thunderstorms or tornadoes. If there's a possibility of heavy thunderstorms, but the likelihood of tornadoes is low, then a thunderstorm watch will be issued. If we issue a watch, then there will be a small map in the bottom right corner of your TV set with the watch area blocked out like this. A tornado warning means a tornado has been sighted and you should take cover immediately. A severe thunderstorm warning means heavy rains, large hail, and damaging winds could be coming into your area. When we issue a warning, you will see the words thunderstorm warning or tornado warning like this. If severe weather is occurring after we sign off, News Center 2 will activate the TAB system. That stands for Tornado Alert Broadcast System, and it works like this. We will put a Storm Surge radar on the screen with no sound. If a tornado warning is issued, a loud tone will be broadcast, followed by information about where the funnel has been sighted. With tabs, you can go to bed while leaving the sound turned up on your TV set, and rest assured, if bad weather threatens your area, you'll be warned.
You know, living in a place that's dark 6 months a year, you really appreciate Target's home sale, because Target now has table lamps on sale for just $29.99. Attractive contemporary styles in pastel colors. So don't miss Target's home sale. Honey, where'd you put the fuses?
Target's home sale.
Dear.
Don't get left in the dark.
10 little Indians make a big mess. Rental cleaners, that's one way, I guess, but Regina's found an easier way to clean carpets with a hot water spray. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner. High traffic areas, keep them clean. It's easy when you own a machine. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner cleans whole rooms so deep, so fast, makes rental cleaners a thing of the past. For less than you ever thought you'd pay, clean your carpets the easy way. The Regina Steamer Carpet Cleaner.
You can't do a good job of work if you don't have good tools. It's springtime down at Sutherland's. Watch this.
A Technor Apex 2-ply 50-foot vinyl garden hose or a 100-foot run of galvanized chain link fence, complete with posts and fittings.
Sprinklers, hoses, plant food, rakes, shovels. Oh, come to Sutherland's.
This is Nicaragua's leading export, people. 1 of every 6 Nicaraguans has already become a refugee. They escaped from what we now know is the pattern of every communist takeover in the world. In Nicaragua today, the religious are persecuted, opponents executed, dissenters imprisoned, and a population of hundreds of thousands cannot go home again. Here is terrorism we can do something about if we support the president on Nicaragua.
Here in Oklahoma, the spring and early summer months traditionally bring us most of our severe weather. These severe thunderstorms, though, can occur at any time of the year, any time of the day. Along with severe thunderstorms comes the potential for tornadoes. Now, these tornadoes also can occur anywhere or anytime. A healthy respect for tornadoes must be observed here in Oklahoma. Wherever you happen to be, you need to know what to do when tornadic thunderstorms strike your area. In the event that you're outdoors during a tornado, try to find an indoor shelter immediately. If there aren't any indoor shelters near your area, look for the nearest ditch or ravine and go down into the ditch or ravine. Avoiding any water that might be down there, lie face down with your hands behind your head. This should help to give you some protection from flying debris that will be accompanying the tornado. As the tornado passes by, many studies have shown that most of the injuries caused by tornadoes are not from the tornadic winds, but actually by the flying debris that accompanies these tornadoes driven by the violent winds of the storm. If you're in an office building as a tornado approaches, find the basement that building might have and use that as a storm shelter. If not, stay on the first floor of that building and look for an interior hallway, closet, or small room that you could go to for shelter. These small rooms, as well as interior closets and hallways in the middle of a building, would give you the maximum protection against the potentially damaging and dangerous winds you'd find with a tornado. Also, you're going to want to avoid large rooms with free-span roofs, such as auditoriums, gymnasiums, and factories. Most schools have drills to acquaint students and teachers with tornado warning procedures. In the event of a tornado at this school, as you can see, the hallway would mark the spot of best shelter and offer maximum protection for these students. If a tornado warning is issued for your area, don't go to the school to try and get your child out. The schools do have excellent emergency plans. Cars and motor vehicles are some of the most dangerous places to be during a tornadic storm. If you're in your car, or perhaps a mobile home, and you see a tornado approaching, leave that vehicle immediately. Go to a nearby shelter or safe place, even if it's only a ditch or ravine nearby. If it's a matter of seconds between the time when that storm will hit your car and you leaving the car, go ahead and get out. A car is no place to be in a tornado. Cars can be watered up like balls of oil and thrown into buildings or thrown hundreds of yards. Of the 44 people that died in the April 10th, 1979 tornado in Wichita Falls, most of those people were trying to outrun the storm in their car, and it caught up with them. That could be a dangerous decision you shouldn't have to make. Please get out of the car if you see a tornado coming. Many people will be at home when tornado warnings are issued for their area. A little forethought can mean the difference between life and death. First, you need a plan of action that you can relay to your family so that they might know what to do in case you're not home in the event of a tornado emergency. Of course, if you have a basement or a storm cellar, that's the place to be in the event of a tornado. If not, go to the interior or the middle portion of your house on the first floor and look for a small closet or a bathroom, one that does not have a window extending to the outside. That's the best place to be if you don't have a basement or a cellar. Don't go to another part of your house and try to raise a window. You're risking being hit by flying debris coming through that window if the tornado is close to you. And also, try to stay away from the southwest corner of the house. That's also a very dangerous spot. At Weather Center 2, we recommend that you have a complete survival kit prepared ahead of time and put into your closet. This kit might include a blanket that you can wrap around yourself to help deflect flying debris during the storm and also to keep yourself warm after the storm passes by. Along with that blanket, you might want to look for a road map. That might help you track the storm as it moves through the area. Now, of course, to get information for that road map and find out where the storm is located, you'll need a transistor radio that runs off of batteries. And now, a good set of batteries in the radio is a must. Also, an extra set might be nice to have in the box with you just in case this first set goes out. Plus, a lot of times during tornadoes and severe thunderstorms here in Oklahoma, the electricity might fail, so a flashlight would also be very handy. If you'd like to have a summary of the information we've covered in the last few minutes, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Tornado Tips, P.O. Box 2, Tulsa, Oklahoma, zip code 74101. We'll send you a flyer that will help you prepare your plan for weather emergencies.
Give me the unusual. I said the unusual. Said the unusual.
Lower prices, higher trades, Save money now. Now at Kroll Brothers Toyota, we're celebrating the grand opening of our new store with once-in-a-lifetime prices. At Kroll Brothers Toyota, 120 additional vehicles featuring special grand opening prices makes now the best time to buy. Because when it comes to Toyota, we will not be undersold.
Oh, Toyota, feel it, and the Kroll Brothers touch.
TV2, let's all be there.
There's no better place to be part of what's happening, at the heart of what's happening with the people you love. There's no better time, 'cause our quality's showing, our momentum is growing with no limit above.
It must be TV2, let's all be there. People come together in the moments that they share. On TV2, let's all be there. KJRH, let's all be there. It must be TV2, let's all be there. People come together in the moments that they share. On TV2, let's all be there.
All of us at Channel 2 are proud of our commitment to serve our viewers in eastern Oklahoma. And there is no area that we pay more attention to than weather forecasting. Throughout the years, Channel 2 has invested a tremendous amount of time and energy to provide our area with the best possible weather coverage. Of course, we all know that all the state-of-the-art equipment in the world is only as good as the people who use it. So we feel especially fortunate to not only have a complete weather center at the station, but to have a staff of trained meteorologists, true professionals who use all of this equipment to give you the most accurate information possible. As severe weather season approaches, rest assured that our team at Channel 2 is committed to keeping you informed.
Well, weather is very interesting to me. It has been for a long time, and I enjoy trying to forecast it. It's a great challenge, especially here in Oklahoma. And it looks like we're probably going to have one of those types of springs where it's going to continue to be more and more of a challenge as the severe weather gets into it. But we're having one big advantage now that we haven't had before, and that's the Doppler radar.
Of course, I grew up in Tulsa. I was born and raised here, and I've put up with Oklahoma weather for quite a while, and it's been a fascinating interest for me ever since I was just barely able to walk, and I feel so fortunate to be here at Channel 2 and to work with all this equipment.
We're talking about the bottom line of this whole thing. You know, why is all this equipment here? You know, why should anybody care to watch Channel 2 just because we have an expensive radar? Well, the bottom line is, if we can get warnings out to people that tornadoes are coming sooner, then that's going to save lives, and that's what's important to us.